All
Hey
right.
guys, hello. How's everyone?
Good. I love the banner that kind of changes behind you.
Yeah, that's our
All
Samsung frame banner. It changes every 5 minutes or so. So yeah, please
right.
watch. Look out for some more interesting messaging behind me. Okay.
Uh,
Anyways,
it's all
guys,
you.
let's start this off. All right. So welcome everyone. Also from my side, my name is Daniel Sinnig. I am with tradingindicators.com. And I am super excited to be here today because it is not just the kickoff of this webinar of the Starters Conference, but we also have something brand new to show, something that nobody has seen before, and it's just fresh out of the box. It is the big unveiling of our SuperTrend Bull Eye indicator for MetaStock. We just completed it. We demoed it to the MetaStock team a couple of weeks ago. They loved it, and we decided, hey, let's make this the headline of today's conference in the morning. So super exciting, and what it really is, and this is where the heading or the title comes from. It's really a version of SuperTrend, which is a fairly known indicator out there, but on steroids. A pimped up version of SuperTrend, which has features such as auto optimization or performance statistics, which can be very useful when you try to find interesting trend trades. And how this works and what this is all about, we're going to see together today. So please be comfortably seated and let's get started. And one more word before we really get into it. If you have any questions, please don't be shy. Put them into your Zoom comment window or into your webinar's Q&A box. And Nicholas, he's going to keep an eye on these questions and bring those to my attention as he sees fit. So please don't be shy. The more, the merrier. All right, so let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to show you is my trade of today. So this is a trade which I picked just a bit earlier this morning. It took me perhaps, I'd say 50 minutes to find this trade. And it is a long trade of AbbVie, ticker symbol ABBV, a stock in the S&P 500 in the healthcare sector. And the idea here is to go long at current market levels. I know price dropped a little bit since the market opened. This slide is perhaps 1 hour old, but this trade is still very valid. So entry around market price with a target of 209.50 all the way up here at this green line, and the stop loss of 188. And this will give you an approximate reward to risk ratio of 1.88. It actually improved a little bit since the market gapped down just a little bit this morning, and it's probably above 2 right now. And in this presentation, I will show you why I picked this trade and how I picked it. And best of all, everyone in this room will be able to reproduce these steps. Because as you will see, these are actually quite simple if you use the right tools and the right platform. All right, so that's the idea for today. But before we get into it, let me briefly introduce myself, because you may wonder, who's that guy presenting his trade of the day today? So, well, my name is Daniel Sinnig, and I am one of the founders of tradingindicators.com, which is our online store where we feature all our flagship products. We've been out there for roughly 10 years, and over the years, we have built way over 700 trading indicators, fully automated strategies, trading dashboards, trading scanners, and trading tools. We have clients all over the world, and it's been quite a journey. But let me tell you one thing. Actually, my career, and Jeffrey mentioned this in the beginning, my career didn't actually start out as a trader. Back when I was at university, my objective was to become a professor in software engineering. So I went through all these levels. I did my master's, I did my PhD, my postdoc, I was teaching at various universities. But you know what? All these years, I was always fascinated by trading and how the markets work. So I started trading on the side. But of course, as you start out, you make mistakes. It's very normal. So I over traded, I revenge traded, I took too much risk, I traded when market conditions were not right. And after donating quite a bit of money to the markets, I came to the realization, man, I need help. And more specifically, I need tools which will help me make better trading decisions. So as a software engineer, this was right up my alley because I started coding. And the first tools that we have written at tradingindicators.com were exclusively meant for our own purposes. And once we realized, hey, these actually help us. They help us make better trading decisions. We then release them in our online store, tradingindicators.com. All right, so this is a bit of a history of how we got to the point where we are right now. Okay, now, one more thing I need to mention, just for legal reason. If you trade, keep in mind that trading does contain substantial risk and therefore is not suited for every investor. If you trade, make sure to only use risk capital, which is capital that you actually can afford to lose. When it comes to backtest performance or hypothetical performance, keep in mind that this is not necessarily indicative of future performance, and any trade ideas or trades shared in this webinar should not be construed as trade advice. These are for educational purposes only. All right, so with this out of the way, let's get into it. And a quick reminder, this is our outcome of today's presentation. And the idea is how did I find this trade and why did I pick this trade? And why do I think that this particular trade can be a good idea? This long trade of ABBV, a stock in the S&P 500s. Well, before we get to this point, let's back up a little bit. I'm going to give you, just for 1 minute, a bit of a history lesson right now. Let's talk about an indicator which has been out there for, I believe, at least 20 years, probably more. It's one of the classic indicators, and it exists for almost every single trading platform. And this indicator is called SuperTrend. It was developed back in the day, I forgot the year, but maybe in the 90s, by a French trader called Olivier Seban. He even wrote a book on the topic of this indicator, which loosely translated means that everybody deserves to be rich. This indicator has become one of the most influential trend trading indicators out there. And as mentioned, it is available for almost every single trading platform. And it specializes in what's called early trend detection. So when a new trend emerges, the indicator will attempt to give you a signal either to the long side or the short side. It has a trading stop to lock in profits, and it is based on what is called the stop and reverse paradigm. Now, what does that mean? Let's zoom in a little bit. So here's a bigger screenshot of how this indicator works. And I apologize for these very small signals here, but just bear with me. Okay, so how this indicator works is as follows. It will give you either a buy entry signal or a sell entry signal. And what this means is that a previous downtrend has come to an end and now is reversing into an uptrend. And when this happens, such a buy entry signal is generated. So the idea is that you go long when such a signal comes along, and you stay long up until the point where the trailing stop is hit. As you can see here, this is really a trading stop. It always tightens in profits. It locks in profits. It will never loosen them. So it tightens in things. Eventually, it is broken. And once broken, what do? Well, we reverse everything. Instead of being long, we suddenly now go short. You can see this here. The trading stop was broken. We then go short the market and we stay short all the way down until this trading stop is broken once again. And once the trading stop is broken, we go long. We go long again. And this alternates over and over again. And this is the idea of the classic SuperTrend indicator, a great indicator. And I think thousands of traders have used this indicator, the original one, successfully. But let's dig in a little bit deeper of how this indicator actually works. Because you probably can imagine, the success of this indicator lives or dies with how we define this trading stop. In other words, how much room should we give a trade so that it has enough room to not get stopped out prematurely, yet it's tight enough to not give away too much profits. So there's a sweet spot there, which we need to find. And in the original SuperTrend indicator, there are two parameters which can be used to adjust the trading stop. One is called the ATR period, and the other one is called the multiplier. And of course, by changing these parameters, we can adjust how far or how tight our trading stop should be from price. And on this, as I said, there's always a sweet spot. But you probably think now, if I have to adjust stuff and things don't work out of the box, that sounds kind of tedious and cumbersome. And maybe I don't have the time to, play around with these parameters to find the best ones. And you are absolutely right. This is actually a big problem because I believe finding the best parameters for a given symbol and time frame is not something that the trader should do because it's basically trial and error. You have to try out different combinations of these two parameters to find the best ones. Imagine how cumbersome that is. So that's not a good use of anybody's time, especially not of a trader's time, because a trader wants to spend his or her time on one thing and one thing only, to make a decision of whether a trade should be taken or perhaps you want to stay on the sidelines. This is where you want to focus your mental energy on, not on adjusting parameters to see which ones are possibly the best ones. So that's an issue. And the second issue is, and I reverse these here, is we also would like to know how well are these signals actually performing. There's no indicator in the world which works equally well on every symbol and time frame. That's impossible. Some indicators work better on some symbols, and other indicators will work better on other symbols. It's just how reality is in trading. But what is important with this reality is to know when signals are actually working well and when they are not working well. Because this is very useful information. It's very insightful because it allows you to make an informed trading decision. And anybody in his right mind, and I don't mean this in any degrading way, would only trade if the odds are stacked in his favor, if signals are actually working out properly. And if they are not, what would you do? Well, you stay away. And sometimes staying away from a trade is the best trading decision that you can make. All right, so these are two problems: not knowing which parameters are best and not knowing how well the signals are performing. Well, this is not a problem anymore because we at Trading Indicators, we have solved this issue actually. And we have developed an indicator which we call SuperTrend Bull Eye, which addresses exactly these two problems. It will automatically find the best parameters for you, and it will also show you directly on the chart, or in case of MetaStock, directly in the expert commentary, how well the signals are actually performing. Sounds interesting? Well, let's check it out on the chart. As I mentioned before, this is brand new. We just released it for MetaStock just a couple of days ago for testing, and now it is officially out there. Okay, so let me switch over to my MetaStock platform. So let me just quickly find the right chart if I can. Just a second. Of course, MetaStock is hiding. There we go. Okay. Because I had an alert open. Give me 1 second. Here we go. Okay. So this is a chart of Tesla. You can see it up here, Tesla, on the daily time frame. And what we have done here is we have already applied our SuperTrend Bull Eye indicator to this chart. So let's see how this works step by step. So you can clearly see that, every once in a while you get these green arrows pointing upwards or these red arrows pointing downwards. These are either buy entry signals or sell entry signals. All right, makes sense. Just like, most indicators, you can see clearly when the indicator suggests to go long for the symbol or to go short. Perfect. You can also see this down here in this ribbon, which says either long or short, long or short. And it is clearly visible that these signals are always alternating. So a long signal will always be followed by a short signal, which will always be followed by a long signal, and so forth and so forth. Perfect. All right, so these are the entry signals. But of course, entering into a trade is one thing. Of course, it's important, but there are other considerations that every trader needs to be aware of when entering into a trade. When entering into a trade, what is perhaps even more important than the actual entry? It is the position sizing, because you want to make sure that when you enter into a trade and it doesn't work out, you will stay within your risk tolerance. So we need to know as traders is where do we get out of this trade at the worst case? If price goes below a certain level, when do we close it out? Where's our stop loss? Well, with SuperTrend Bull Eye, you can see the stop loss by this blue line here. So for every signal that comes along, we know exactly where our stop loss is. And once we know where the stop loss is, we can then position size accordingly in a way that should we get stopped out, we will still stay within our risk tolerance. So this is what it's very important to know, where is my exit in the worst case. There's no profit target when it comes to SuperTrend Bull Eye. It is a stop and reverse indicator, meaning that we stay in the trade up until the point where we get stopped out, where prices breaches our long trading stop. And when this happens, we then go short. We stay in the short trade all the way down here until price breaches our short trading stop, and so forth and so forth. All right, but you may ask now, okay, this really sounds like just regular SuperTrend. What's the new stuff? Where's the new stuff? Where's the cool stuff? Well, let me show you where it is. So for this, I'm going to open up the expert commentary of MetaStock. I'm going to go here to Expert Advisor and open up the commentary. There we go. This will now open up a little sub panel, sometimes below the chart, sometimes on the left or right hand side of your chart. And you can see here now that, okay, well, this is for Tesla on the daily time frame. And the current signal is long. So currently we are in a long trade. And we can see this here that, which date was this? On August 15. You can see it here. We got a long entry signal, and price has been also nicely trending upwards ever since. So we're still currently wrong. We can see where was our entry price back then and where is our trading stop right now. So right now it's at 215, give or take. So somewhere around here. Perfect. So we can see all this. But we can also see, once I scroll a little bit further down, is what are the optimal, here we go, what are the optimal settings for this particular symbol and time frame? We can see here for this one, for Tesla on the daily time frame, a multiplier setting of 3 and an ATR period setting of 20 is optimal. But this is particular to Tesla and to this time frame. What happens if I change time frame? Let me just give you a quick example. What if I go from the daily time frame to, let's say, the hourly? I can do this in MetaStock very easily. I do it. The indicator is recalculating. But if I now go down here to my settings, we can now see that the optimal settings for this chart, for the hourly time frame of Tesla, is now 7.5 for the multiplier and 20 for the period. Whenever I change time frame or whenever I change symbols, we're going to see other symbols in a second, this will happen over and over again. The indicator will automatically find the best parameters for you. And you probably can already see how much time this will save. Because doing this manually, I'm telling you, is extremely tedious. It can take minutes or hours sometimes. And as a trader, this is time that we do not have. But let me go back to the daily time frame. All right, so back on the daily, because there's one more thing I need to show you. So I'm going to go further down. We already know that our settings for the daily are a multiplier of 3 and the period of 20. But now I would like to know, okay, with these settings, how well or how poorly sometimes the indicator is performing. Well, let's scroll further down. So in the performance statistics part, we can see that Tesla on the daily time frame has a performance of this indicator of 55 or win rate of 55% in the long direction and 66% in the short direction in our look back period. By default, the look back period is set to, I believe, 1,000 bars. But this is the setting that the user can change. In this look back period, we had 36 trade and we had a profit factor of 2.93. And to me, typically, the profit factor is a more important metric than the win rate. Because, a win rate always depends on whether it's good or bad. It depends on how big your winners are, if you get a winner, as compared to how big your average losers are. And if SuperTrend Bull Eye, this is a trend trading indicator. Let's the trend right if you catch a good one. Typically, the winners are way bigger than our losers. So sometimes even with a win rate of like 40%, you can still be quite profitable. All right, so Tesla on the daily time frame, a profit factor of 2.93, which is quite good. I mean, everything above 1 is considered profitable. The higher, the better. A profit factor of 2.93 is actually really profitable. But let's change it up. Let's see how all these things change if I go back, let's say, to the hourly time frame. So one more time here to the hourly. So the indicator is re-optimizing itself. We already know what the settings are because we saw them before. 7.5 for the multiplier and 20 for the period. And now we only have a win rate of 37% to the long side and 44% to the short side. 17 trades taken, but still a profit factor of 2.07. And this is exactly what I mentioned before. The win rate itself oftentimes is not as telling. Because once again, if your winners really outpace your losers in terms of how much you lose when you lose and how much you win when you win, then even a low win rate of 37% can be okay. You will only win every third trade, give or take. But if these trades are huge, these winners are huge, like look at this long entry signal here. It went all the way from here to here. It's a huge winner. So if you have huge winners, you can still be quite profitable. All right. So this is Tesla, but let's change it up. And guys, if you have any symbols in mind, please don't be shy. Put these into the Q&A box. All right, moving on. Let's look at Oxy, Occidental Petroleum. So you all know oil has been struggling as of late. It is not surprising that we can see it here that the latest signal that came in for Oxy was in fact a short entry signal, and markets have followed through quite nicely afterwards. All right, so once again, we can see we have the long entry signals, the short ones alternating normally. And of course, we also have our settings used for this particular symbol and our performance statistics, just like shown here. 2.92, another great profit factor. Okay, works nice on Oxy. Let's move on. Google. Google has been struggling. Yeah, price has been dropping as of late. And once again, it is not surprising that SuperTrend Bull Eye has given us a sell signal towards the end of July. We can see markets have followed through since then. And now, this is something I want you to keep in mind. We can see prices now very near this trailing stop. And just please, just put a mental note to that scenario. Price now is really close to the trailing stop. So the stop is very nearby. And just for food for thought, we're going to get back to this topic in a second. What if you would reconsider entering short into this trade? What would be the benefit of that? Or perhaps what would be a disadvantage? Just think about this. We're going to get back to this scenario in a second. So this is where Google works nicely. Let me just quickly look at the profit factor, 2.93. Pretty good.
Daniel.
Yes.
Can we look at 2 more symbols we got requests for?
Let's do the symbols towards the end. I'm just going to go through the ones I have prepared because there's so much more to come. But yes, there will be time to do that.
Perfect.
Thanks, Nicholas. All right, so let's quickly look at Nike. Just another example here. Yeah, how SuperTrend Bull Eye works on Nike. Once again, we can see our entry signals. I can see that here the best configuration is 8 and 20. And yeah, with a 60% win rate in both directions. So here, signals tend to work out quite nicely in either direction, short or long. This doesn't always have to be the case. In some cases, you have a very big bias towards the long side or perhaps towards the short side. Then as a trader, what you can do is, of course, perhaps only focus on the long signals because they have better win rates. Perhaps stay away from the short signals. All right, one thing to mention is also that this indicator doesn't only work on stocks on the daily time frame, of course not. It works for any asset class. So let's look at the futures contract. The S&P micro futures, in this case on the 30-minute time frame. Look, same thing, short, long, and so forth and so forth. It's the exact same principle. The indicator is auto-optimizing based on this, this chart. In this case, the micro S&P futures on the 30-minute time frame. And we get our profit factor here and our statistics. Or Bitcoin. Let's look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin on the 1 minute time frame. Let's get even more short. We just had a signal a couple of minutes ago, I should say. A nice long entry signal, which could have been quite nicely if you're a scalper. So Bitcoin as well, is tradable with SuperTrend Bull Eye. The principle is always the same. The indicator is auto-optimizing itself based on the chart and time frame at hand. It will tell you, okay, what are the settings, what are my win rates, and most importantly, what is my profit factor? So profit factor, just to give you a bit of background, I don't want to expand too much on it, is truly a metric which takes into account the size of your winners and the size of your losers, something that the win rate doesn't. And it also takes into account your position size. In fact, it doesn't matter whether you trade 1 contract or 100 contracts, the profit factor will always stay the same. And as mentioned previously, anything above 1 is considered profitable. Anything above 1.5 is considered very profitable. And the higher the better. So you can imagine a profit factor of 2.09 is indeed quite profitable. Perfect. All right. Before we get to your custom symbols, there's another very important thing I need to mention. So let me quickly go back to my charts. If I can find them. There we go. Perfect. Now, a quick summary of what we've seen so far. So we've seen SuperTrend Bull Eye, a pimped up version of the classic SuperTrend indicator, which comes with auto optimization and performance statistics. But there's more to it. I wouldn't have time to give you a demo because it takes too much time, but we have a bootcamp class for this. It has different reversal modes. By default, it's on close that's being chosen. Basically means that price needs to close below your trading stop for a long trade or above your trading stop for a short trade in order to reverse. Which is not always practical because perhaps if you want to set your orders in, you don't really know when the bar closes. So perhaps you want to use on touch, which means that the indicator will reverse whenever the trading stop is touched. Whenever price wicks into your stop, we're reversing right away. So that's a setting we can use. You can also tell the indicator, hey, I want to optimize so that signals work best in both trade directions, long and shorts. So the optimizer will try to find the best settings so that longs and shorts are working the best. But perhaps sometimes, or in some cases, you're not even interested in trading short at all. Maybe it's a registered account and you just don't want to trade short or cannot trade short. In this case, you can tell the optimizer, hey, optimize only for long entry signals. We don't care about shorts. I would not take a short. Don't spend time on short signals. Don't try to optimize these as well. Optimize on longs only or optimize on shorts only. So that's a setting that can also be chosen with the SuperTrend Bull Eye indicator. But now let's move on. Let's ask ourselves another important question when it comes to trading. How do I know which symbols currently have entry signals? How do I find a symbol which currently has a buy signal on the current bar or currently has a sell signal on the current bar? How can we do this? Well, luckily, we are with MetaStock, and Jeffrey mentioned it in the very beginning. One of his favorite things of MetaStock, and that's actually also one of my favorite things of MetaStock, is the MetaStock scanner. It is so powerful and it is so fast. It's really incredible, and I believe it's unrivaled in industry. So with MetaStock, in fact, you can, and our indicator, you can do something which is called Generation 3 scanning. Sounds complicated, but let me explain you very quickly what this is. So in Generation 1 scanning is basically a scan where you scan just for entry signals. You see which symbols currently has a buy signal or which symbols currently have sell signals. That's just what everybody does normally. It's Generation 1 scanning. But actually we can do better than this. Generation 2 scanning is to scan for signals or for symbols which currently have signals and check at the same time if our win rate and profit factor are actually profitable. As mentioned before, not all symbols work equally well with our indicator. So wouldn't it be better if we could scan for symbols and to see and to filter by which ones are most profitable? That's possible with Generation 2. But we have one more step, what we can do with scanning. Generation 3 scanning allows you to scan for signals which are profitable, and the scanner will do an on-the-fly optimization on a per symbol basis. So for IBM, the optimized parameters will be used. For Tesla, optimized parameters will be used. For Microsoft, optimized parameters will be used. And then these optimized parameters will be used to see if there are currently signals for this symbol. Sounds complicated? Let's look at an example together. So let's check it out. Back to MetaStock. There we go. And I'm going to open up the power panel up here. There we go. And I'm going to drag this in, and let's set up a quick scan. So the scanning is available in this Explore box here. I'm going to go to our Exploration tab. And what we're going to scan for is, just deselect this. We're going to scan for SuperTrend Bull Eye, STBE, that's the acronym that we've chosen, for buy and sell entry signals. You can see this here. And we're going to scan through, we're going to keep it relatively fast. We're going to scan through the S&P 500s only. That's enough for us. Just keep it simple. Of course, you can expand your scan universe arbitrarily, but since this is a live webinar, I don't want you guys to wait around while the scan is running for too long. So I picked the S&P 500, and let's start the scan. So start exploration. This will open up a new window, and we can follow along with the progress here. And Nicholas, while the scan is running, you can see it's running right now. Do we have any non-symbol or chart request questions right now which I could answer while this scan is running?
I think we're all caught up on the questions, Daniel. Let me just quickly review right here. We did have one from Vladimir. He wanted to know, are the optimized settings applied automatically, or do you have to put them yourself?
Yeah, great question. Yes, totally automatically. So the indicator will do it in the background. And as soon as it's applied to the chart, in fact, it will use the optimized settings. And you can see which ones these are. And yes, these are applied automatically.
Perfect. And even though we already answered in chat, we can just go through them now. Also from Paulo wanted to know, is there any way to get SuperTrend to filter like trades that are taken in flat consolidating areas? And I said the idea with the optimization is it'll find the settings that really tries to avoid those and catches the big trends. Do you have any take on that?
Yeah, that's a good take. And of course, what's really cool, so what Nicholas said, of course, is completely valid. And with the optimized settings, typically this trading stop will be chosen in a way that, even if you're in a consolidating section, we will not get stopped out. That's the idea. But what you can also do, and Nicholas, please mute your microphone real quick. Yeah, because I have an echo on my echo. Perfect. And what you can also do is combine the SuperTrend Bull Eye scan with some other indicator readings, such as maybe an ADX reading or something like this, which can allow you to filter out symbols which are currently flat. ADX, for example, is an indicator which flags the trend or the strength of a trend. So the higher the ADX reading, so an ADX maybe of 25, would show you, hey, this symbol is currently trending. So by combining the ADX indicator, for example, with SuperTrend Bull Eye, you can filter out some of the flat action as well.
Thank you, Daniel. And the last question here we had from Kirby. He wanted to know, how does the indicator, the expert, determine how many bars of historical data it's using to determine these optimized settings?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's actually a setting of the indicator. It can be user defined. So all you go to the settings here. I'm not going to show it right now. We have a boot camp on this topic, but it's just a user setting which you can use. And by default, it is set to 1,000 bars.
Perfect, thank you. And that's all caught up on questions related to the expert and the indicators.
Awesome, and we can see we are almost done as well for scanning through this. This actually goes a bit faster if you don't do a webinar at the same time. And it also goes up with your internet speed and your laptop or PC speed, but you can see it's quite fast. So this one took 3 minutes. In fact, I ran this earlier today. It took only 1 minute. I think it's because I'm sharing my screen at the same time. In any case, the scan now finished, and we can see that for our scan through the S&P 500s, we had how many hits? Let me just see. 8 hits. Perfect. All right. So we can see that if I sort by this buy column here, that we had 3 symbols, these 3 ones here with buy entry sequence on the last bar, and 5 symbols with sell entry signals. So this is available, and this would be considered generation 1 scanning. But where does generation 2 come in? Well, generation 2 comes in by means of this column, and this column here, which is our profit factor, our long win rate, and our short win rate. Because now you can do something really, really cool. We can sort our findings, let's say by profit factor, from highest to lowest. And guess what? This allows us to focus on these symbols which currently have the highest profit factor, because we can't trade all these signals. That's probably impossible. And imagine we had scanned through maybe 10,000 different instruments. You would have gotten hundreds of results. So you can't trade all of them, but with this column here, we can now sort them and focus on the ones which have the highest profit factor. So let's do this. Let's look at Cisco Systems. Let's open it up. Got my little chart tab here, opening it up, and it will now load on my MetaStock. And we can see here that, oh yeah, indeed, we did have an entry signal on the last completed bar, which was on Friday. So the way the scan was set up is to check for the last completed bar. So it's a long entry signal. And we can see here that our trailing stop would be all the way down here. And let's just keep this also in mind for 1 second. So entry around maybe 52, give or take. Stop loss probably around 47, 44, 46 maybe. So it's quite wide, I would say. Just keep this in mind for a second. And this is normal because, you know, in this case, you want to give our brand new signal a bit of time to actually pan out, which will take into account areas where we may have a bit of a pullback. Just normal when we try to predict a brand new trend move. So keep this in mind. Okay, this is Cisco. This is, you know, of our results, this one had the best profit factor, but perhaps let's open up one more. CrowdStrike. All right, everybody knows CrowdStrike. They have been in the news a couple of months ago because they brought down half the world with their IT security software, which was buggy. So here we can see this happen on July 18, huge gap down, but it is recovering. Oh yeah, and you know, actually we called out this this opportunity back then when we saw this this big gap down. You know, well-established companies, they tend to recover, and we can see already signs of recovery. And we finally now have a SuperTrend Bull Eye long entry signal here. But once again, see our trading stop is still quite far away. Entry around, I don't know, 280 or maybe 290, and all the way down here, 234 is our trading stop. It's far. Keep this in mind as well. But this is how you can scan for entry and exit signals of entry signals of SuperTrend Bull Eye, and you can, you know, sort them by profit factor, which will allow you to focus on the ones which have the highest win rate and highest chance of succeeding. All right, but let me go back to my slides one more time, because now everything will come together. Let's try just for 5 minutes to optimize SuperTrend Bull Eye. And you may ask, rightfully so, what? How can you optimize an auto-optimizing indicator? That's redundant. That's a tautology. It doesn't make any sense. But maybe it does. In fact, actually, there's a number of things that you can do to further improve your odds. For example, you can adjust how the optimizer actually works, how exhaustive it performs, it tests all the combinations of parameters, or how loose it is. You can adjust the trading style to only focus on perhaps long trades or only short trades. That's possible. Or, and this is what we're going to look at right now, you can combine SuperTrend Bull Eye with another indicator called Trend Radar. Okay, why would you do that? Well, let's back up a little bit. So before I look at Trend Radar, in trend trading, what is one of the key recipes to success? Any trend trading is to buy the pullbacks, to wait until the market pulls back and then enter into the market. Why? Well, first of all, we'll give you a much better entry price. And secondly, it's a trade with less risk because your trading stop or your stop loss will be closer by. Thus, less risk is on the table. And Trend Radar is an indicator which allows you to find these pullbacks, among many other things. It's a very versatile indicator, but one of the things it excels in is to find symbols which are currently in a pullback state. It does this by showing this heat map below the price chart. See these green and red areas here? These show how the symbol performs in terms of short-term trends, medium-term trends, and long-term trends. So the lowest row here is the long-term trend. So we can see here, for example, this particular symbol has been in a long-term uptrend. It's green. Green means up. But as of late, the short-term trend and the medium-term trend have turned red. These are areas of pullbacks. You can see here, price actually pulled back. We're still in an uptrend. We had a healthy pullback. We call this a healthy pullback. And now perhaps might be a good idea to re-enter into this long trade. So let's see, how can we now combine SuperTrend Bull Eye with this Trend Radar indicator? Well, what about the following? We use SuperTrend to determine the trend direction, and then we use Trend Radar to find healthy pullbacks. And best of all, this is not going to be manual. We are going to use the MetaStock scanner to do exactly this. We're going to use for trending symbols with a high profit factor of SuperTrend Bull Eye, and then I'm going to use Trend Radar to find which of these actually are currently in a healthy pullback state. All right, so back to MetaStock, and it's the last scan of today. So I'm going to go back to my power panel here. And the first thing, I'm going to quickly change the template just so that we can see both indicators on the chart right off the bat. So I'm going to use the proper template. Now I go to my explorations here. All right, I'm going to change the explorations from finding symbols with entry signals on the current bar to finding symbols which are currently either long or short, but the trend or the trade could have been initiated a couple of bars ago. So this is one thing I'm going to do. And I'm going to use another scan which looks for symbols which currently have a pullback according to our Trend Radar indicator. You can see it here. Perfect. So two different explorations are selected. And now this is where the rubber hits the road. I'm going to combine these two explorations. I believe something, once again, which is completely unique to MetaStock. I'm going to say, hey, let's scan first for symbols which currently have pullbacks, and then use the scan results of that scan and scan for SuperTrend Bull Eye trades. So the results are linked together. So let's do this. I'm going to close down my exploration window here so I can restart a new exploration. Okay, this is done. And this should be possible now. I'm going to start exploration. And you can see by doing it this way, that you will further speed up how fast this scan is running, because the Trend Radar scan is much faster. So by first scanning for symbols with pullbacks, we eliminating most of our symbols right off the bat, and then we just use SuperTrend Bull Eye on the results of that first scan. So you can see here, this is already running much faster. So it should only take a couple of seconds to complete. And Jeffrey, don't worry, I'm aware of my time. We are nearing the end. Okay, perfect. So this is running. And this takes only a couple of seconds, but because I am sharing my screen, it is delayed a little bit, but it should not be too much longer. And guys, once again, if you have symbol requests, there will be some time towards the end to look at some custom charts. All right, so this is running. Perfect, we're almost there. You can see the progress here. So 428 out of 500 symbols have been scanned through in this phase one. Actually, let me drag this a little bit here. You can see this is a two-phase scan. Right now, phase one is completed, check. And now scan number two, the SuperTrend Bull Eye scan, STBE, is only scanning through the results of scan one. It's really cool. All right, so this is almost done. It's completed. And now we can just focus on the result of the second scan, because we know whatever we're going to see here is currently in a pullback state and has either a long or short trade with SuperTrend Bull Eye. Perfect. All right, so we've done this. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to sort once again by my profit factor. Okay, and we can now see here, these are my results. Perfect. And we're only going to focus on the long trades. And in fact, actually, I'm going to do a bit of a shortcut here. I'm going to sort by my win rate, my long win rate, because, remember, since we are only considering long trades for this idea, let's focus on the long win rate because we want our long trades to be as successful as possible, not necessarily our short trades. So let's start with the first one here. CBOE markets, I'm going to open it up. Perfect. Okay, so it's opening it up, and we can see here both the SuperTrend indicator and our trend radar indicator applied to the chart very nicely. We can see, okay, this trend started here. We've pulled back a little bit towards the trading stop, but to me, this is not enough. It's still too far away. We probably can find even a better opportunity. This one would be a nice one too. Nice pullback here, but I think that's a bit more coming. So let's skip this one. Let's go to the next one. The next hit was Old Dominion. Let's open up this one. Open the price chart. All right. Old Dominion. Let's see what we have here. Okay, once this loads, we can see, okay, not bad. We had, once again, a pullback. You can see the price has been pulling back, but to me, this is too sideways in general. We had like some bigger moves here, and the trend duration of every uptrend here is not too long. So this may, I believe, not last for too long, even though it could also be a nice opportunity. In fact, it doesn't look too bad. So this could have been also my trade of the day. But let's move on one more time. Baxter, this one here, opening this one up. All right. This is loading. And once we see the chart is, okay, here we had a bit of a pullback here. Okay, not bad. We can see SuperTrend Bull Eye is reddish here. But to me, this is a very bearish stock. I'd be very off going in long here. It's just overall, it's been bearish for too long. I'll be careful with entering short here. All right, so we can do the same exercise for most of these ones here for the long trades. But finally, we're going to get to AbbVie. All right, so AbbVie, if you remember, this was also our trade of the week. So I'm opening it up here. And once this is loaded, we can see that AbbVie, in fact, is in a nice uptrend overall, like long-term uptrend for years since 2020. We're making higher lows and higher highs. Very nice uptrend. But now you can see here that we did have a bit of a pullback. We went all the way up to 200s here, and now we're pulled back to around 293. Exactly. So this is where we are, and we already tightened up our stop loss. It's only at 188. So that's quite tight. Well, market is at 193, stop loss at 188. And this indicator has been very successful in picking, these long trades. And just look at this example here. Price went up, it then pulled all the way back to our trading stop, but it was not, we didn't close below it. Wouldn't this be a great opportunity to re-enter long? Because this is a pullback in an uptrend. Our stop loss is super nearby, like really at $1 or $2 nearby. This allows you to scale into this trade at a great price with a very close by stop loss, with very little risk on the table. And this is exactly what we scanned for here today. And this is why I have picked AbbVie as my trade of the day today for exactly these two reasons. Because we had this pullback after this trend moved towards our trading stop. So now our stop is very nearby. If this was just a healthy pullback, and trend radar suggests here, see these 3 levels of red here, this was just a healthy pullback in an otherwise long-term uptrending market for the symbol. So if this trend continues, this could be a great re-entry opportunity. Entry around 193, target I would say around 209, would make to take out our all-time high here around 200, and our stop loss just where SuperTrend Bull Eye stop loss is at 188, which would give us approximately a reward to risk ratio of 1.88. And this is exactly how I found this trade, by combining SuperTrend Bull's Eye with our trend radar indicator. All right, now to wrap up, and we're going to get to some charts in a second. Who are these indicators for? SuperTrend Bull's Eye and trend radar. Well, really for any trader, whether you are a day trader, a scalper, a swing trader, or investor, it doesn't matter. These indicators will work on all time frames and chart types. It also doesn't matter whether you trade futures or FX or stocks or cryptos. These indicators will also work on all asset classes and symbols. If you are a little bit less here and believe that tools can make your life easier and good trading tools can make your trading life easier, then these indicators, especially in combination with MetaStock, are definitely for you, because they will do all the heavy lifting for you, especially when you take advantage of the MetaStock scanner. Now, to celebrate the arrival of SuperTrend Bull's Eye for MetaStock, we have put together an incredible bundle offer for you, which first of all contains, of course, our SuperTrend Bull's Eye indicator with its auto optimization feature, with the performance stats, which will tell you how well the signals are working. We have put this bundle together for $797 normally, which is for life. But it doesn't stop there. We're going to add in a couple of bonus offers as well. Bonus number one is exclusive access to our weekly members session. Normally at $997 a year, we're going to give you lifetime access completely for free if you take advantage of this bundle. And bonus number two is our trend radar indicator, which complements SuperTrend Bull's Eye very nicely. And also an ebook on how to trade trends with trend radar. And everything here is for life. But there's one more thing. To celebrate the arrival of SuperTrend Bull's Eye for MetaStock, we decided for this event, for this MetaStock conference, to slash down the price for the lifetime version to only $597. This is a limited time offer. All right. Now, Nicholas, do we have any charts to look at real quick?
Yeah, Daniel, the first ones we got were, one second, Microsoft on the daily chart. So MSFT on the daily chart.
Perfect. Let's have a quick look. And Jeffrey, I'm nearing my end. Don't get nervous.
I'm good here.
Perfect. Okay, let's try to find Microsoft. I believe that's MSFT.O.
That's right.
Yeah, let's do this. Let's opening it up. This is the daily chart. Let's have a quick look, see how the indicator performs on Microsoft. There we go. That looks pretty good. Yeah, you can see once again our sell and long entry signals. We just triggered actually recently here a nice sell signal a couple of days ago. This was last week with a nice follow through already. Let me look at the settings, 5 for the multiplier, and a great win rate of 70% for the long direction. Actually, this is a very interesting one. We had a bit of a pullback today, so maybe another opportunity to re-enter into a long trade of Microsoft, 1.58 profit factor for both longs and shorts. Cool. Anything else?
Yeah, we also had NVIDIA, and I think that was the daily chart as well.
NVIDIA backtest.o as well. All right, let's open this one up real quick. Everybody talks about NVIDIA. Let's see what happened here. The indicator is loading. Cool. Yeah, of course, we caught all the big rights here with SuperTrend Bull's Eye of NVIDIA. And once again, NVIDIA is a hugely bullish stock, and we probably can also see this here in our performance statistics. Yeah, win rate, long win rate of 80%, short win rate only 25%. We did have a short signal about a month ago or so, but with these kind of win rates so biased to the long side, I'll be very careful to take any short trade. These statistics are showing it to you here that short trades for NVIDIA have not worked out that great in the past. So if you get a new buy signal here, that could be a great and stellar opportunity potentially to go long NVIDIA. if you come on board, we can definitely look into at our member session, which will take place tomorrow. Our next member sessions, and in fact, they are every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern. These are all recorded. And if you come on board, you will get access to all these sessions and, of course, all the recordings, including our Discord channel. And as mentioned, our trend radar indicator, which complements SuperTrend Bull Eye in a very unique and interesting way, because it allows you to find symbols which are currently trending with a great profit factor, but which currently have an interesting pullback, or a healthy pullback, which could be a great re-entry opportunity into the trend move. And once again, special offer, only $5.97, normally $7.97 for SuperTrend Bull Eye alone. But as to celebrate the arrival at MetaStock, we decided to make this great offer at $5.97, which also includes our trend radar indicator. Great. So, Jeffrey, with this, I'm at the end now. If there was a question, and I apologize, I went a bit over time. If there was a question that was left out, you can always reach me through our homepage, tradingindicators.com. In the main menu, you see a contact form. Click on it. It will open up, a form to enter your question, submit it. It will go straight to my inbox, and I'll make sure to, get back to every single question as soon as possible.
Awesome. And I do know a lot of people are looking for symbols. If you guys want to get symbols, you can actually come over to me at metastock.com/saleschat. We've got a team that are more than happy to pull up symbols or answer questions that you've got and that kind of stuff. So unfortunately, we just sometimes ran out of time. But Daniel, great job. I appreciate you coming in and spending some time.
Thanks, Jeffrey. Thanks, guys. Enjoy the rest of your conference. Have a great time. Bye-bye.